Small-scale fishery considers to be one of the important sector in the fisheries in Oman. It almost contribute to about more than 90% of the landings, which about 160 ton per year. The other importance, it's a very good important for the employment of fishermen. It continue also their heritage in the maritime culture. It contribute in the food security and in the overall economy of the country. As we have also a very long shores in the Sultanate, it's very important that to have this coverage all around the regions on the small-scale fishery. It helps also in the security of the country, and so the small-scale fisheries also, as I said, it has been developed through the years to have more market access through their quality control enhancement in their fishery as they learn through the extension program and through the development program. And in Oman, we will be also developing the infrastructure for their landing sites and other related issues to their well-being and livelihood. The importance of the international guidelines for securing small-scale fishery would help the Omani small-scale fishermen to first get the national recognition on the national development plans, and it would enhance their market access through the development, and that would help also for their quality control, well-being, and development in all ranges. That also will guide them to do better sustainability of the utilization of the resources, and to make them know their rights and responsibilities.
My name is Steve Donda. I'm Deputy Director of Fisheries from Malawi. The small-scale fisheries are very important in Malawi because they provide quite a lot in terms of contributing towards food security. They also provide a lot of livelihood to the majority of fishers and fishing communities that are along the lake shores, because Malawi has got a long and big lake, which is the third largest lake in Malawi, in Africa, and it serves a population of about 10% of the Malawi population depend on the fishery, so they depend on these small-scale fisheries. And then the development or the introduction of these guidelines, they're going to be quite helpful, and they're going to be quite useful in the fisheries of Malawi, because they will provide a guide on how the fisheries can be managed sustainably, as well as help the fishing communities get a lot more from the fishery and improve their livelihoods, as well as contributing towards economic growth within these fishing communities. The process of developing these guidelines, we feel is quite appropriate because it's quite consultative, and Malawi is one of the countries that is actually participating in consulting the fishing communities to develop these guidelines. So we feel that since Malawi is actually participating, these guidelines are going to be quite more useful and meaningful, and are going to be used by the fishing communities in Malawi and the authorities.
Mi nombre es Catalina Gallardo, soy abogado de la Subsecretaría de Pesca de Chile, que pertenece al Ministerio de Economía, Fomento y Reconstrucción. La pesca artesanal en Chile es muy importante, significa alrededor del 50% de los desembarques. Hay pesca artesanal que se desarrolla cerca de la costa, dentro de las 5 millas. También hay embarcaciones artesanales que pescan fuera y que por lo tanto comparten su captura con los barcos industriales. También hay pescadores artesanales que pescan en la primera milla recursos de carácter bentónico. También tenemos asignado áreas de manejo, que son áreas que se entregan a los pescadores para que cuiden los recursos y después los extraigan en las épocas autorizadas, que ha resultado ser una buena manera para administrar los recursos de carácter bentónico. La pesca artesanal, su destino tanto es la captura interna como la exportación. Tenemos diferentes tipos de embarcaciones, algunas se denominan botes, que son más pequeños, de madera o fibra, y otras que son lanchas, que tienen una mayor autonomía en el mar. Así que la pesca artesanal para nuestro país es muy importante. Hay recursos compartidos con la pesca industrial y hay asignación de cuotas para los pescadores artesanales y para los pescadores industriales en la pesca que es compartida. Las directrices o los lineamientos que se están presentando, pienso que en nuestro país tienen un importante avance ya, porque el Estado ha relevado la importancia de la pesca artesanal o pesca de pequeña escala, y por lo tanto hay regulaciones y hay una preocupación constante por su desarrollo. Hay fondos que se dedican a incrementar las posibilidades de proceso y de exportación de sus capturas. Pienso que no debiera haber un mayor inconveniente en adoptar las directrices, pero sí considerando la regulación interna, porque esa regulación hace algunas especificaciones y puede establecer diferentes obligaciones según el tamaño de la embarcación o la pesca a la cual se dedican.
Cambodian is a fish-eating community where more than 81% of the animal protein is derived from fish, and each Cambodian people eat 54.4 kilograms of fish per year per person. So it's very important, especially they eat like a smoked fish, fermented fish, the salt-dried fish, especially the fish paste that is the main ingredient in all culinary purposes. And 87% of the Cambodian fisher are small scale, so it's very important to promote them for the sustainability of the resource. As the 87% of the fisher are small scale, it is very important to have the international guideline to guide where we should go and should protect the fishery, and also to manage the small scale fishery so that they can improve the livelihood of the small scale fisher, as well as to the conservation of the natural resource for sustainability.
My name is QUARTEY from Ghana. I'm the Director of Fisheries. In Ghana, the small-scale fisheries sector is of economic and social importance to the development of our nation. About 80% of our total annual fish production comes from the small-scale sector. The small-scale fisheries sector ensures the livelihood of most coastal communities. Our fish per capita consumption of fish is about 25 kilos. And so it tells you that health-wise, and it's also we estimated that 60% of our animal protein comes from fish. So, I mean, by their contribution, they are also meeting the health needs of our country. And in spite of all these things, they have challenges, and they've not been taken on board. I'm happy that there is going to be these guidelines on scoring the small-scale fisheries. You know, the small-scale fisheries have been seen as only contribution to GDP based upon their production and the value. But then it goes beyond that. So, and I see the guidelines giving them visibility in areas of the nutritional needs of the country, also giving them in the areas of livelihood issues, and then in the sense that it is always environmentally sustainable fishing practices that they do. So the guideline will give some prominence and visibility to the small-scale fisheries. Of late, there had been several policies that impedes on the work of the small-scale fisheries. I see the guideline as having a coherence of policies, so that whatever policies on trade, on energy, on hydroelectric dams, on oil exploitation is done, that of the small-scale fisheries is taken into consideration, so that policies that will have a negative impact on the small-scale fisheries are highlighted. This also gives the opportunity to build the capacity of the small-scale fisheries to appreciate that, yes, responsible fishing is of key, and that they should also know that, while giving them their rights, they should also be more responsible. So they know that, the two have to be in balance. And I believe it will be a wake-up call for governments, for regional bodies, to know the essence of the small-scale fisheries sector.